life. We're going to outline 4 requests or areas of prayer for us as we learn from the petition portion, at least, of Paul's prayer in this opening of the letter to the Philippians. And we'll actually learn far more about what is most valuable, what is most important in the Christian life, in ministry, in meeting the Lord, in knowing the Lord, and following the Lord. If we're really paying attention, we will see here a whole theology of prayer and a whole theology of the Christian life in this sort of deeply power-packed little snippet of verses. And so I want to begin by pointing to that theology with the first point today. Point number 1, pray with a rightly dependent faith. Takeaway number 1, outline point number 1, application number 1, pray with a rightly dependent faith. And so get this perspective on prayer. Paul prayed because he was confident of how God works. And because he was confident that God would work how he said he would work, and he would keep his promises, he would do what he's planned, because he's revealed that in his word. And so, a deeply held trust in the sovereignty of God in saving sinners and sanctifying them and completing the work in them is actually the grandest motivation to pray. Not an excuse not to pray. And that's what I mean by saying, point number 1, we learn here to pray with a rightly dependent faith. So we said, point number 1, pray with a rightly dependent faith. Number 2, pray for a rightly defined love. Application number 2, pray for a rightly defined love. Knowledgeable, discerning love seeks scriptural categories to set the guideline, to set the guardrails for the path of love. And so as important as it is that we pray for and practice love, we must be sure it is a defined love and real knowledge and all discernment. And that is a comprehensive and constant necessity. It is all discernment, meaning each and every situation. It's a vital virtue for the Christian life. It's a priority for prayer. Pray for a rightly defined love. And that has a result, that has a purpose in it. You might say it this way, pray for a rightly devoted lifestyle. A rightly devoted life or lifestyle. Pray, number 1, with a rightly dependent faith. Pray, number 2, for a rightly defined love. And number 3, pray for a rightly devoted lifestyle. The practical exercise of a rightly defined love with a rightly dependent faith results in a rightly devoted lifestyle. Look at verse 10. And point number 4, pray for a rightly directed perspective, a rightly directed perspective. On that future day facing King Jesus, Paul says he wanted the Philippian Christians to already have been filled with the fruit of righteousness. He described the goal for them with this perfect passive participle for you English grammarians or Greek grammarians. In verse 11, it emphasized this had been done already for them, and it remained characteristic of them. He wanted them, when they meet Christ, to have already been filled with the fruit of righteousness, already been filled with God's Spirit working in and through them in a full and complete life that displayed the fruit of righteousness. Every good work, every prayer prayed, every prayer answered is all for the glory and praise of God. And that is a rightly directed perspective to pray for. A perspective that gives all glory and praise to God through Jesus Christ. It's all through Christ. It's all to God and for God. That's what I mean by that rightly directed perspective.